Hey YouTube, welcome to the Off-Grid Mountain Homestead. Here is the bee bunker, minus the charger, fence charger. Had a damaged shipment, so had to send that back and start over with another charger. So it'll be another week before I get the charger in, at least. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the 99% completed version, but I'll show the charger and hooking it up too once I get it in. But anyhow, I figured it's time to show this. So I changed from my original plans. If you watch the first part of the bee bunker little intro I did the other day, I was going to do it 8x16. Well, I made it bigger. I went 16x16. So I'll get up here and show you everything on it. Got 7 strands of wire on it. This is built to exceed Alaska DNR recommendations for brown bears. So I figured old black bear wouldn't be no problem keeping him out if I built it to brown bear specs. And solar charger specs will be revealed when I put the charger on, but we're going to talk about the fence and then the wire today. So it's 7 strands of high tensile aluminum. Why aluminum? Aluminum conducts electricity better. That's what we're relying on, is electricity, not the actual strength of the wire to keep the bears out. So aluminum conducts electricity better. You get better voltage transfer all the way through. And this is all 8-gauge PV wire for the jumper leads. But I'll show you the strand arrangement. The first strand starts 6 inches off the ground. So if a bear tries to nose under, he's going to get popped. If skunks, raccoons, things like that come down near the ground, this wire that's on the ground, the 6-inch wire on the ground, is going to just eat up little small mammals or varmints that want to come in. And it alternates hot to negative, hot, negative, hot, negative, and then the hot at the top. And these are recommended to be at 54 inches at the top wire. I went ahead and went up to 60 because some of the bears around here, their reach is well over 60 inches. So if they try to get their old paws up here, they're going to get just slap ate up. And split bolts, aluminum split bolts on each wire for the jumper loops. You can see all the hot loops loop down, and then the ground loops loop to the ground rod. It's all looped, and then the wires to go to the fence charger are sitting right here, pre-done. I have a shut off and everything on it too once we get to that point. But of course it's camoed out. That's my style. Everything's camoed. And we'll go ahead and talk about the tensioners too. Aluminum wire, well, any wire, electric fence, you really need a tensioner on it. And you can get the tensioner specifically made for electric fence, but they're very expensive for what they are. So I found a workaround around that. This is trampoline springs. So the wire is very good and tight. And another benefit of using a spring tensioner, so say a bear gets in here and gets hung up and panics, the wire's going to give. He's not going to be able to just rip the wire to pieces. Them springs are going to give and let him back out. If he does get his head and stuff in here and try to get hung, he's got enough room in there to stretch the wire a little bit and not snap the wires off and then go ahead and jump on in. So that's why another reason I did the trampoline springs. They're very strong. So everything's mostly done, like I said, besides the charger. Got a nice heavy duty latch on the gate. The gate's got wire across it too. Corner supports in the gate, and all the poles are 3 foot in the ground. They hit solid limestone. I hit limestone in every post hole right at 3 foot. So they're sitting on solid limestone. I didn't do traditional corner post setup and waste all the posts. I did 2x4s for the rigidity in the corners with 3.5-inch screws sunk into the 4x4s. You can see around the sides here some of the terrain I'm working with. There's a lot of drop between that top pole and this pole right here, but I was contouring to the terrain because I wanted my fencing the exact same across the whole fence. So 6 inches at the bottom, 60 at the top, and the spacing worked out to right at 8 3/4 inches between each pole. So I made just a cheat board out of a 1x4. I'll show you that in a second too. And I just set it beside each post, and it had all my marks, and I just sunk all the insulators in at each mark. Here's just a little quick sample of the cheat board when you're setting a lot of posts. Make you a cheat guide. You see I got everything marked where I was setting the wires, hots, negatives. See what I'm saying? Just make it a little easier so you ain't got to measure each pole. Just measure once and then you can just copy and paste. So you can hear the tension on the wire. So nice tension on the wires. We'll go inside and take a look now. but you can see it's very Jurassic Park-esque. It kind of reminds you of something off the old school Jurassic Park, and that's kind of what I was going for. Built way overkill. So we'll go in here and see got loops on the gate. So when you open the gate, there's enough slack in the jumper leads to the gate to allow you to open the gate without stretching the wires. And it should conduct very well, being 8-gauge wire. So here's the stands. I built the stands out of landscape timbers instead of 4x4s because they were, you know, a third of the cost of a treated 4x4, but they go 3 foot in the ground as well. And they're center braced, so no sagging. I see a lot of B channels. People put their hives on there and then landscape timbers sag in the middle, so I went ahead and nipped that in the bud too, put center supports in. And all these supports have 6-inch construction screws, big, huge monster screws, anchoring everything together. And I'm going to put ratchet straps around the top too, just in case something happens with the fence and the bear does get in. With the ratchet strap around that hive and them big timbers, even if he does break the fence or tear down the fence, or the fence goes dead in the middle of the night or something like that, something weird happens, there's another layer of security. That's why I built all this so strong, because a layer of redundancy. It's just another layer of protection. You see corner braced, center braced here, everything's braced off real strong. So it's bear proof even inside. And you can see how the stands are spaced off from the edges of the fence. You may be wondering why is that? Well, you need 3 feet with a bear between the edge of the fence and your hive stands. So I'm 4 foot on these sides. Yeah, just the way it worked out with 8-foot timbers. But the back is 3 foot. There's 3 foot from the fence to the back of the stand. Just a little smidge over 3 foot actually. So you can't reach in past the wire and grab the hive or nothing like that. And this hive is just a swarm trap bait hive I set out. There's a lot of feral bee activity coming out of the woods, coming from the top of the mountain up there. But there's no houses for miles and miles back that way. So it's got to be a wild hive it's got out into the woods at some point, or multiple hives. So I've got some wax comb in there, and I've got some honey on the comb and a little honey at the entrance. So I'm trying to use it as a hillbilly swarm trap bait hive to see if I can catch some of the bees that are out, because swarm season here starts around March 1st. So I go ahead and set that out. It's not hurting nothing for it to sit there. So maybe I can catch a wild swarm if they try to pop one off. And I've got some swarm lure coming too, so I'm gonna play around with that. So it's a multi topic video, I guess. And I apologize about getting off on a tangent, but I've enjoyed this bee yard, building it. It's been a lot of work, but I like to see something come to fruition. And behind the stands here, because you can see the slope. Pretty sure you can see how much slope that is. I flattened out behind the stands to make it more ergonomic and safe when you're working behind. This is all flat behind each hive stand. So it's all flattened off through there. Shovel and a hoe, manual labor. But you can see I get behind the hive here. Nice ergonomic platform, knee height to the bottom of the hive, so I don't have to bend over too far and it's not too high, you know. And then if I start stacking up supers or whatever, it's not going to be above my head. So I try to take all that into consideration on building this. But yeah, that's the 99% completion tour of the bee bunker, as I'm calling it. This might be the most hardened apiary on YouTube. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. I haven't seen anything else like this. Most people use T-posts and stuff, but I went full bore, wide open, 4x4, strong, real strong stuff. So I'll show a little clip of the insulators too, how to use the insulators. So here's the insulators, real nice insulators. They got a 2.5-inch wood screw for wood post. And look at the install tool. You slide the little insulator in there and put it on your drill, and you just run them into the wood, and it did not take just a few minutes to get these insulators and the wire strung. The insulators went in real good, seem to be of pretty good quality. I think they'll be just fine. There's a lot of tension on them wires, and they haven't moved or stretched yet. So I like this old bunker here, the bee bunker as I'm gonna call it. So built very strong, and I throw enough voltage, enough joules of energy to it, should keep the bears out. But like I said, I've got a contingency plan with the heavy duty hive stand as well, and I've got room for a third hive stand whenever I get around to it. Once if I'm a successful beekeeper and expand my apiary, I got room for more. So hope you enjoyed today's video. If you don't mind, please hit that like button, And questions or anything, put in the comments. And if you're not subscribed, I'd greatly appreciate a subscription from you. So thank y'all for watching the Off-Grid Mountain Homestead. Hope you have a nice day.